All right, everybody, let's kick this weekend off right. Happy Friday. You're listening to the Entrepreneurial Web. I'm your host, Jeremiah Fox. Before I bring my guest on today, the message of the week. You see, I'm in full Jiu Jitsu regalia today. Got my new Alhenzo Gracie gi on. I was heady to hustle with this guy. Old quote I heard many times in my martial arts school, the first martial arts school I attended, and it is, on the road to black belt, this could be said of marketing as well. It is not about what you get in the end. It is about who you become along the way. With that, fighting out of the blue corner, training out of RKCMO, Fort Worth, Texas, Ryan Kovach. You got to unmute yourself.
I'm unmuted now. Sorry about that. What's up, man?
He was in a strangle. He was not.
I was.
Welcome.
Great intro. Yeah, man. How's it going?
Everything's great. Everything's great.
Good.
You?
Rocking and rolling. Love the gi and love Henzo, man. What a stud.
Yeah, for sure. He's got some schools in Tejas there.
Yeah, absolutely. One down in Houston. I think Mike Columbus, who does a lot of photography for the BJJ community, I think is involved in that school and a good friend of mine. So yeah, man, growing his brand.
Yeah. I mean, the funny part, I invited him to come on the show like a year ago, just on a whim. It was like a Twitter exchange with like some major podcaster. And he was like, if you could interview anybody, who would it be? And I just put Henzo's name in and his handle came up. I didn't even know the dude was on Twitter. So I hit it and he wrote back immediately. He was like, for sure, champ, I'll come on. And I was like, whoa. And the great part was I hadn't even seen his profile yet. I clicked on it and it was like martial artist, entrepreneur. And I was like, of course.
Yeah.
The dude, he's got 80 affiliates worldwide. And now I've gotten to know him,
Well, the entire Gracie family
yes.
They've been great. They've been great at business, man. They're great business people.
And media, going back to print media days,
Yeah.
They really killed it that way. So
yeah, they did.
Yeah, it's in the blood. But I'd say he's exceptional at it. And
he is exceptional. And they don't make them like him anymore,
man. The stories, man, now that I'm there all the time and people are just constantly, his daughter's boyfriend I train with regularly, and he went on an RV trip with them last year, and they went to Texas and everything. And he was supposed to have this fight in Brazil, and he was like, man, the guy literally lived off of Red Bull and Skittles and cupcakes. That was what he ate. And but he was doing 2 a days, and it didn't. I was like, yo, man, it's unreal. The dude is totally.
They're a different breed. Yeah. That is for sure, man. I love it. I got to do a seminar, I guess, a year ago with Hoyce.
Nice. That's amazing.
And I was his uke for the day. And
beautiful, really?
He was showing some good cross collar choke setups and stuff. And I mean, dude, the guy's grips just unbelievable, man. I mean, he wasn't even trying. They were iron. Dude's a stud. A complete legend. So love the Gracies, love what they've done. Changed my life. I mean, jiu-jitsu completely changed my life. It brought in a whole group of family of people. It's a cool sport because you can compete later in life, whereas, I mean, at a high level, I was competing against 20-year-olds on pro stages whenever I was, 40 and stuff and doing good, and so
we saw the pictures.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's just, but you can't, I mean, it's you can't really do that in a lot of stuff, right? And so it's a lifetime thing, man. I train with guys that are in their 60s, and they're salty, man. Some of them are salty.
When they're on top and you get that little drip and you're like,
oh yeah, so their sweat's saltier than most. Yeah, it's fun. Don't mess with the old guy that's on the mat. There's a reason.
Yeah, for sure.
So great. Yeah, it's been a wonderful journey. I recommend it to literally anybody. I guess you could call us the CrossFit of martial arts. You know, when you're in jiu-jitsu, you tell everybody about it. Like, you know, it's good for so many things. And my daughter is on Fight to Win Pro now quite a bit, and you know, tearing up the jiu-jitsu scene. She's going right now. She's driving down to Austin for state for wrestling.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a WNO match tonight.
Yeah. So she's it's her first year wrestling. Of course, she's been on the jiu-jitsu mats her whole life. So she's been, I mean, it's a little unfair advantage for the rookie year, but she'll definitely win rookie state when she comes home this weekend for wrestling. She's just been murdering everybody. So I love it. My son was a 5-time world champion in jiu-jitsu and a 2-time state wrestling champion. Yeah, he's going in the military this next year. So it's a family thing, right?
Yeah.
My wife's a blue belt. She's been training a long time, but she's casual.
Yeah.
You know, so
I got one of those too. I got a blue belt.
Yeah. So, I mean, she loves it, but you know, she can get to class once every couple of weeks and she's just casual about it. But she loves it. And so it's a full family thing, man.
Yeah. No, we have the same. So my wife's been training for like 4 years, but you know, not as committed as the other kid in the middle. And that you know, she trained. Yeah. She did her last class literally 5 days before the baby was born.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. So our third is like she's a pure dojo baby, and she's been hanging around Hintos. My 2 older ones, they trained for several years too. And now like kids classes are off right now, unfortunately here, but
right.
You know, they've got adult classes back, but we've already talked to Hinto about when they start the kids program back up, they want us all there.
Which is ironic because the kids don't really get COVID, man.
Right.
Let's let the adults die, you know.
It's just that people aren't ready to handle it. I think it's not so much a public safety concern. It's more of like what's going on up here.
The mental. Yeah, we caught it in November. My wife and I got it. I went to the ER twice. It tore me up. She was pretty sick too. But then we had 2 kids in the house that never even tested positive.
Yeah.
It's bizarre, man. It's just a really, really strange virus.
Yeah. Same with us. We all, most of us got it, but like our 10-year-old tested negative for like antibodies and everything. And never showed any symptoms. She like coughed a couple times, but.
She type O blood?
I have no idea.
It's a weird thing, man. A lot of people type O blood just simply aren't getting it. So it'd be interesting to find out if she's type O. Because the 2 daughters we have that did not even test positive were type O. And 2 friends of mine that have never had it or seemingly been exposed to it are type O. It's weird, but there's some medical literature online about that. So, you know, if you're type O, could be.
I could ask my wife. I thought it was just because of her attitude.
It's probably her attitude, but you know,
she's the tough one.
Right. Man, exactly.
Got to work that mental jiu-jitsu on her.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how long have you been training for?
This year, 12 years.
Nice.
Yeah. So I got my black belt in about 10 years. Took me about 10 years to get it. But I mean, I was a partial owner in a school. I was training, you know, all the way until I got my black. I got a little lazy after I got my black, but you know, I was training 6 days a week, sometimes twice a day. I was competing regularly. So, you know, where some guys were ranking up, you know, over the 10-year period as fast as I was, you know, they were going to class maybe 3 or 4 times a week, right? I mean, I think when you put yourself out there as kind of an instructor and a competitor and everything else, you know, it's a little slower go, you know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I went through purple quick, but I stayed at brown a long time. I was brown for like 3.5 years. And it's just because I had goals. I was competing at brown a lot. There was a couple of guys that kind of had my number. You know, I'd meet them up in tournaments. They'd just beat me. And I was like, no, I don't want my black yet, man. I want to go beat those guys.
Get these guys first.
right? So,
Awesome.
I stayed at Brown for a long time, but and Blue for a long time as well. But yeah, it's been a fun journey, man. Like I said, I recommend it to anybody, and related to marketing. So this is a business podcast, right? Like, there's so many parallels. It takes 10 years to get a black belt. In marketing, I feel like, companies, reach out, they're startups, or they've been in business even 10 years or whatever, but they've never really put a cohesive marketing plan together. And, they bounce around. It's kind of like the school hoppers in jiu-jitsu. You kind of bounce around from one marketing agency to the next. They never let anything settle in. They never let a true marketing plan gel. And things like that, and they want instant results, kind of like the spazzy white belt. They want to come in and defeat the black belt. It ain't gonna happen. You're not gonna. You just need to calm down, settle down, and learn and let things gel and get into motion. And it takes time, to have a system that's genuine, right? So. I could go on and on about the parallels of marketing and jiu-jitsu, man.
Yeah, no, we will. We're going to take a break in just a minute, but we definitely, we just dedicate the rest of the show to that. It's exactly why I used the quote that I did, because I've seen that, I've never approached marketing that way, but I've heard a lot of people who are really looking for that instant gratification. Like they want that little hook that's just going to bring money in like real fast.
Yeah.
That's a rough way to live, man.
It's a rough way to live, and it's a bad strategy.
Yeah, and it's the same in jiu-jitsu. You're not going to last very long if that's your approach, man. You're gonna get hurt. You're gonna hurt somebody else. You're gonna peter out. You're not going to see the benefit of it. And like you said, these things.
And your ego's gonna kill you, man. Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of time, we're gonna take a break. So hang tight, everybody. We'll be We'll be right back.
Got it.
Welcome back, everybody. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to the Entrepreneurial Web. I'm your host, Jeremiah Fox. Today, we're zooming to Fort Worth, Texas, talking to Black Belt and CMO Ryan Kovach. I was just starting to draw on the many, many parallels in marketing and jiu-jitsu. But before we continue with that, we heard a little bit about your jiu-jitsu journey. How about your marketing journey? You went to like a creative school, it looks like, and coming from that background. Go for it.
Yeah. So I come from a family of entrepreneurs. My mom was an entrepreneur, owned a business for many years and was successful there. Grew up in it, worked there in the summers. And then, by the age of 25, I was the general manager, but like, I was always kind of an artist, a musician, a designer, this kind of thing. And I just enjoyed, like, this was before digital marketing, right? And, digital, the way we know it today, it was still very print oriented. Websites were just coming around, and all of that. So I really enjoyed ad layout, ad copy, creating the marketing message and things like that. And so I broke away from her company and started an ad agency in the back of her offices. So she had a pretty large facility and had an area in the back. And so started that, grew it to about 15 employees. Things were rocking and rolling. And then in 2009, the stock market crashed. My industry that I was focused on was hit very heavily. It's bloodbath, like woke up in between a Monday and a Friday, like lost half my business, right? It's one of those things. And so I sold that agency to a couple of guys that worked for me. They had been with me from the beginning. They were young and had no kids, no mortgages. They were real lean and mean. I had a first child, and I had a house and cars and a wife and things to take care of. And so sold it to them and went out as an independent consultant for years to the same industry. I just worked with a couple of my larger accounts that kept me on as a consultant. So went to work for a marketing firm that brought me in as their director in early 2019. Everything was rocking and rolling. COVID hit, massive layoffs. So in October, I finally, I kind of went back out there and got, a few more of my older clients that had stayed with me all the years. And then I said, you know what, I'm pulling the trigger, man. I'm like going full steam ahead. And in October, brought in a VP of ops, started, hiring some delivery folks, hit the gas hard. And, I mean, we're only in March, so probably 6, 7, 8 months in. And, we've generated, probably 600,000 in recurring, retainers, up to this point. And we're just getting started. So, life's been good. It's been fast. It's been rock and roll and go, but we're working with some great clients, who, and now I'm smarter, man. Like I vet my potential prospects a lot harder than I used to. You just take anything. Like if you got money, you can work with me, right? And we're just not taking that approach anymore. We want to make sure that our clients have the right mindset, that they're in this for the long term. Like we were mentioning earlier, there is no get rich quick. Marketing takes time. A brand takes time. It's got to mature. And so it's been fun, man. We've had strong client retention. Haven't lost an account since we've started. Not that it's been that long, but I mean, in this marketing world, again, the average lifespan of a relationship is less than a year, which is terrible.
Yeah.
People go, they put some money in, they don't get immediate leads, so they leave. And so
it's not even a blue belt.
Yeah, I mean, you are literally still learning how to bow into class.
Yeah.
Right.
Can't even tie the belt yet.
You can't tie your belt, Yeah, exactly. Right. So that's the thing, man. And I think there's so many, like we were talking, like trying to get some parallels between like jiu-jitsu marketing, jiu-jitsu business and things like that. And there is so many, jiu-jitsu is a lot about strategy and being patient. It's a lot about capitalizing on others' mistakes. It's in the same sense. I'd say, you don't focus on your competition.
Mm-hmm.
You don't focus on them. You're in competition with yourself. You make your company better every day. You make yourself better every day, and when you do, and you show up to class, so to speak, you're gonna win the game. Right. And so, again, you could go on and on and on about the parallels there. I'm sure you've seen it in your life and in your work and everything else. It's so applicable, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a guy on LinkedIn, Travis Hartley, I think is his name. Are you familiar with him? And he's got an Instagram account called Jiu-Jitsu Saved My Life.
Yep.
I'm going to start one called Jiu-Jitsu Saved My Restaurant, because I would have burned this place to the ground. The great part is the school was just a few doors down. So right. I just always had a bag packed with a clean gi ready to go.
Yep.
And it was just like, if things, if I had a minute, I would run out, I'd take a class, I'd come back, and like whatever was happening, I was in a much better reset mentally. But you learn you're in there, you're hearing those messages, the big guys on top of you, and you hear the professor saying like, get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Calm down.
Patient. Yeah.
Use your technique.
Yeah,
Don't, use leverage.
Yep.
Not strength.
It's funny, like, I heard, I was hearing like Tony Robbins talk about leverage all the time, like, 3 or 4 years ago. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah. What the fuck does that mean? But now you know.
And it was funny because I was in class. I was probably, I'd just gotten my blue belt, and they said something about leverage. And I was like, hey, and I was like, and they were into Tony Robbins. And I was like, what does that, like, I get it in jiu-jitsu. What does that mean in business? And
right.
they just like lifted the veil, and I was like, oh, and
yeah,
set me on a new path, man.
It does. And so, like, when you said it saved your restaurant, does that mean it gave you more patience? It made you more comfortable in the uncomfortable. It allowed you to handle situations with more clarity because you don't panic and freak out, right?
Yep.
I mean, Is that?
And I just started to think about it in this terms of like, okay, if I want to commit to this martial art and this mindset and this skill set to get to black belt, which is only just the beginning, right? You get to black belt,
course.
and then it's like, you know, now you can really get started. You know,
Exactly.
If I'm willing to make that commitment there, why would I not make that commitment with my own business?
Exactly.
And stop thinking about cashing out quickly and just really think about like, I want this to survive, you know, I really want this to survive. If you don't, then fine. I understand if you're not, you know, that's not your protocol for your business, then move on and find something that you are willing to commit to. But I knew, especially like when the pandemic set in, it was like, I had employees just leaving town. They were like, we're out of here. And I like half my staff's looking at me like, what do we do? And I'm like,
hang in the pocket, baby.
I was like, we're going to work from the bottom, guys. I was like, let me show you something. This one was called close guard.
Yeah. We're gonna work from the bottom, and we're gonna use leverage, and we're going to use technique to figure out how to fucking get out from under this shit.
Yeah, for real. And like, it's so funny because, you know, if someone would have asked me, if someone would have told me on like March 3rd, in 2 weeks, you're not going to be able to seat people at all. You're going to be takeout only, and that's going to last for 3 months. And then for the next 3 months, you're only going to be able to seat outside,
and then outside, and then half, and
I, you know, they would have said.
And restaurant business is hard enough when it's so ginning like 100%. Like, it's a tough business.
It's crazy.
You know?
But if they would have said like, how long do you give yourself? I would have been like, we'll be close in 2 weeks. And here we are, you know, almost a year later, and the regulations have gone up and down.
Of course.
Like, they just opened dining rooms again. And it's so weird to go from like 3 months of telling people, no, you can't come in. No, you can't come in. No, you can't come in. No, come in, please come in. Come in. Like, it's so weird. It's such a strange thing, but no more awkward than that big Russian guy on top of you, sweating in your face and just like squeezing your organs. And then you wiggle out and you look at him and you smile and he goes, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, man. It's interesting. Have you guys have you returned to somewhat normal at the restaurant? I mean, I know not, you know, from New York as a whole, but like, are people psychologically willing to go in and sit down and eat?
Yeah. It's funny because, you know, there's such a sampling of the population here. You get it all, you know,
right? You
get the total like naysayers to the total like people call and they're like, they still want, you know, you to drop the bag off, you know, on their spoon.
Right.
They want no contact at all, and everything in between. And so we have to be available to all of them. We have to be bizarre. Like, oh, so you want to just come in and sit down, like 6 of you, no mask, party. Great. We got you. Oh, you want to like walk through. We have a family that comes in, you know, mask head to toe, gilled up. They talking like Vader. They're like, no, it's not that bad. But they bring their own disposable cutlery, glasses, everything. We drop the plates in front of them. They know what they want already. They just tell us real quick. We drop the plates. That's it. A bottle of wine. They poured it in their own glasses. They're not touching any of our stuff. So like that, it's a big panorama. And then like people that are like, well, do you want to sit inside? Oh, I don't know. Well, okay, let's try it. You know, and
right.
Watching people like hash it out in their own head. And I'm just like, whatever you guys want, I'm here for, man.
Yeah, man. You know, it's funny because here in Texas, I think we walk in and just immediately lick the shopping cart. You know, we just don't give a shit, right? People here, yeah, we're dying at a real rapid rate, but hey, you know, we're the herd, right? And it, you know, but it's a different mindset.
It is, and still nobody's like all other states have paled in comparison to New York in terms of cases and deaths. After all the protocols and everything, we like to be number one. We like to be.
I mean, you just love to just be. You love to win, man. I know it's sad, you know, and it's tragic what it's done. Like I said, I was in the ER twice, so I can speak to it. My lips turned blue. They gave me a steroid shot and said, hang out here for an hour. If your oxygen doesn't come up, you're going on a ventilator. I mean, I was that sick. Oh yeah. And so from somebody that's been through it, and has been extraordinarily sick the entire month of November, I make no jokes about it. It's very serious. It's tragic and all of that. But there is a level of, I've said this, I've been consistent about this from day one. There is a level of, take precautions, and use common sense, man. Yeah. But walking around terrified of life is insane to me. We wore masks, my wife and I. We didn't go out much. We did do our stay in the house for the however long that was to flatten the curve. I mean, we followed all the rules, right? Like, and we still got it.
Yeah.
We still got it. And we still got really, really sick. We didn't have anybody over our houses. We weren't going to any parties or anything. And, finally, man, I just, now I'm just of the mindset. Of course, I can speak to it because I've had it, I guess. So I have an advantage. But, I'm just finally of the mindset of I'm going to live my life, man. I'll throw the mask on if I'm going in somewhere to make everybody else happy. But I'm not doing it for myself. I'm over it. Like, fuck COVID. This thing came in. Like, I was like you. I was working with the company. I'd been there almost a year, felt very untouchable. Things were going pretty good. Company, things were going good. And woke up on March the 16th and was let go just like that. And I mean, not only are we facing a global pandemic and you're locked in your home and all of that, now you got no job. And, thank goodness the company it's a great company. I love them to death. Thank goodness there was some good, severance and benefits and things like that. And it gave me the fire in my belly to go, look, I've been an entrepreneur. I need to stay an entrepreneur. Let me go full steam ahead. But, I'm done with it, man. This whole thing can just be gone. People just need to, I think, get back to normal life. It just is what it is.
Yeah, I agree. We're going to take another break. All right. So hang tight. Yep. Everybody will be right back. See you in a minute.
Sounds good.
All right, folks, welcome back again. You're listening to the Entrepreneurial Web. I'm your host, Jeremiah Fox. We're talking to Ryan Kovach here in Fort Worth, Texas.
Yes, sir.
And as he said, last segment, fuck COVID. Let's move on.
Amen, brother. Amen.
I'm going to choke you out. I just saw this thing on Twitter. A friend sent it to me. A guy, I think he was in India or something like that, choked out a leopard that attacked his family and killed it. The thing attacked his family and he choked the leopard.
Did you? You need to look up. I don't know if it's real or not, but I think it was a year or two ago. Family, the guy that did the mountain lion.
Yeah. No, I know it. Henry Gracie did. He was like, Henry Gracie grabbed that bull by the horns. Talk about marketing. He was like,
right.
All need jiu-jitsu. This is so real,
Yeah. I mean, a freaking mountain lion, just a rear naked choke, man. That's awesome.
That's what I said, man. I just get a body triangle from the back and choke his ass out.
I mean,
control the leg.
What's a mountain lion compared to somebody like Henzo?
They got a lot of neck, man, I'm telling you.
I'd rather fight the mountain lion.
I was there one day recently. He was teaching no-gi and he was the guy he was using for uke. I know him. And he was like doing these chokes. The guy was wincing every time. And I was like, man.
Oh yeah, dude.
I was like, I don't ever want to feel that. And I'm partnering up. We're drilling the technique and the guy wasn't doing it right. And Henzo came over. He's like, no. He's like, you come here. And he choked. I was like, no. And I was like,
so have you had a chance to roll or anything with the Ryans?
No, they left now. They're in Puerto Rico.
They're in Puerto Rico. That's right. Oh, okay.
They left sometime last year, and I had not joined yet.
Okay.
No, they're gone right now. Dan Hurst.
Boy, Nikki's coming up too, man. That's freakish.
Those guys are yoked too, man. They posted a picture yesterday. They're all like jacked, right? I mean, he was like a little teeny guy, Dude is like.
Gordon, talking about business, man. I mean, this isn't like rocket science or anything, but like I managed a couple of UFC fighters about 2012, 2013. One guy was a 135er. He was on the Ultimate Fighter TV series, and then he was having some success in the UFC on the undercards, and then got on to the main card as like the first guy on the card, right? And he was having some success, but he in real life, he was funny, sarcastic, smart ass, the guy in the bar that would, you know, be a little rowdy and everything. He would switch when he was on TV and be around, you know, like when he was being interviewed and stuff, he'd switch to this really nice guy, and it didn't work. And I was like, dude, you're missing out on money, bro. Like, you need to be a smart ass. You need to be you. You need to call fighters out. Like when me and you were just talking and you're calling this guy out, that's another 135er, and you're like, man, I'd love to fight that piece of shit, you know, whatever, blah, blah, blah. That's, you know, I was like, that's what you need to be saying. Like, you're missing out on money. And he was like, no, man, if I do that, I'll, you know, none of my fans will like me. You know, I'm going to be respectful, be the gentleman and all that. I'm like, dude, it looks fake. It feels fake, bro. Yeah. Well, anyways, you know, look, Conor McGregor comes in. These Gordon Ryan's a good shit talker, bro. And yeah, I mean, he's a fantastic shit talker, and Conor McGregor and these guys. And look, I don't know if there's anybody in jiu-jitsu. I mean, maybe through affiliations and stuff, but I'm talking personal purse, you know, sponsorships and everything that's making more money than Gordon Ryan.
Yep.
You know, and
I mean, it's to the point now where Danaher talked him out of going into MMA, because he's like, why go get your head knocked in? You're going to make less money, and take more damage. You might not ever make the amount of money you're making right now as a grappler.
Correct. Which is insane, because grapplers always went to MMA to make money.
Yes.
But again, that translates into, you know, sometimes I made a post, I think it was yesterday or the day before, on LinkedIn about, you know, marketing's become too safe. You know, I remember when I had my ad agency in the early 2000s, all the rage was risque marketing, really risque messaging, funny ass videos that went viral on the internet, people pushing the boundaries. Companies were calling and hiring us to do that, to come up with that. You can't find that now.
Yeah.
Everybody's so sensitive and offended over every fucking thing. The cancel culture is insane and all this other stuff, right? And so now you've got companies like, we can't have anything go out the door that might offend, that might, you know, open us up to something, or whatever, right? And the safeness, the safety, you know, mindset to me is so bizarre. Like, I don't know, man. There's so much room for players in certain industries to get rowdy and take over. But there's no question, Gordon Ryan could have been the grappler that he is and been super gentlemanly, never talked shit and everything. And he would be obviously a world champion, an ADCC champion. He'd be welcome on any mat, anywhere, and he would compete all the time. His purse wouldn't be anywhere near what it is. Nowhere. And so to me, it's interesting, you know. Conor McGregor, you know, just got his ass beat by Dustin Poirier a couple of weeks ago. I love the guy. I love his movement, everything else. But there's no question he made hundreds of millions of dollars, far beyond anybody else in MMA, because of his marketing, because of his attitude, because of his shit talk and his rowdiness, right? It's a good lesson for somebody out there. Now, granted, if you're a law firm or something, maybe not. If you know, whatever.
Maybe don't throw water bottles.
You know, maybe not.
Maybe
right?
not.
But there's a lesson there. There's a lesson there for any entrepreneurs listening, you know, today, that, you know, if you've got something in your heart, in your mind, you want to go out and do it, and it's, you know, well, maybe people won't like me if I say this, or maybe it'll be too risque, or maybe, you know, it'll rub somebody or offend somebody or whatever, man. I don't know. I think if it's on your heart, I think if it feels right for your brand, and you want to be a little bit, you know, a little bit of a shit talker, I think it's okay, man. Quite frankly.
No, I agree. It's funny. I was on the way here today, just right before the show. I was just like crossing the street and I was just thinking the same thing. It's like, man, you just gotta fucking go. I mean, I think the one thing like the last year taught us is like you just getting laid off. Like you have to go for it, man. Really, nobody's gonna be there for you. And what you learn as an entrepreneur, one of my mentors was on the show last year and he said it. He was like, you really get it when you understand like there's nobody back there to catch you.
That's right.
That's when you're like, oh. And then like, you can't worry. And it's the beginning of imposter syndrome, which you were just talking about, like questioning, like, what are they going to think? Like, don't fucking worry about that.
Don't worry about it.
They are not going to pay your bills. When all hell breaks loose, those people are going to disappear on you, and you got
It's that meme that's like the one person with their head in their hand and it says, no one gives a shit. And then right below is the person going, because it says no one gives a shit.
Yeah.
It depends on how you look at it. Because no one gives a shit.
They don't.
Like, they only care about, let's just be real. I love my friends and my family and I care about people. But in reality, we always just care about what is our business doing? What is our household doing? How is our mortgage getting paid? And if what you're doing or saying isn't helping to contribute to that, then it's pretty low on my totem pole, right? And, when you finally realize no one gives a shit and you just got to go. And you're going to make mistakes. There's going to be things that hit and people love. There's going to be things that bomb. Who gives a crap, man? Just grab the bull by the horns and go. Now, what I would recommend to entrepreneurs, and this has been very helpful to me, is I do think, and just like in jiu-jitsu, there's always that black belt wisdom that you can go to when you're like, man, coach, I felt like I was on fire, last year. This year, man, I can't seem to get anything right. I feel like my jiu-jitsu is going backwards, like I feel like I suck, or whatever, right? And and your black belt gives you that wisdom, like, hey, man, we've all been there. It happened to me. It happened to Henzo, I'm sure. It happened to everybody. This is the time that, number one, it probably isn't as bad as you think it is. Number two, it could be. And that's okay. Like, power through it. It'll come back. Just stay on the mat, right? And all of that. But I do highly recommend that entrepreneurs, especially younger ones or people that are, not gazillionaire entrepreneurs who can afford to make a ton of mistakes, when it's all on the line, right, is to get a mentor. Get a really fucking good business mentor. A guy that you can just call, or a female that you can call and cry on their shoulder and have that sounding board. I wouldn't make it your wife or your spouse because they'll get tired of hearing it because they live with you every day. I would find that somebody external that, you can go to and just say, man, I had the Midas touch last year. Every prospect that came through the door, we closed and we were making money. Now I can't seem, now I can't, I was selling fire to Satan and now I can't sell a cup of water to, somebody that's dying of thirst. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So,
that's great advice. It really is.
You need that wisdom. You need that sounding board, somebody to calm you down and say, well, here, make this adjustment. Yeah.
All right. One more quick break and we'll come back for that last round. All right. Hang tight, everybody. We'll be right back. All right, everybody. Last round. Ding, ding, ding. We're back with Ryan Kovach, Fort Worth, Texas, talking about all things Brazilian Jiu Jitsu and marketing, the parallels between the two. Before we go on, just a couple shout outs. Stephen G. Pope, Junaid Iqbal, and Nick Lozano hopping in the comments hard on LinkedIn.
I love those guys.
Really, really great dudes.
Yeah.
All of them have been on the show too.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, they've all been on. Really great.
Yeah, they're just solid people, man. Steven and I have done some work prior.
Cool.
And yeah, Nick's super, super cool. And I love Nick's new quotes series he's been doing. Shit's cracking me up, man. He needs to keep that going.
Well, it's like what you said, you got to take risks. You got to at LinkedIn, especially, it's got that.
I love it.
It's like, everybody feels like they have to have this like polish, like, oh, this is my business like profile. This is my business Facebook. And Nick's just like, fuck that. I'm going to quote The Simpsons.
I'm going to quote The Simpsons and Dwight Schrute and all that, man. It's freaking great stuff, man. I crack up, dude. I love it. That's the thing, man. It sticks out and it's it's good, man. It's good, lighthearted stuff, man.
Yeah. So two things that have really come up between like, I do a number of live broadcasts a week, and then also working with Clubhouse. I'm in a couple of masterminds right now. The two things that have really stood out, and you mentioned them both today, which it's like just further evidence for me, like, yeah, do it. You're on the right path. Is like have that mentor or accountability partner, just that person that's external, that's been there, you know, like working with the black belt. They're like, you know what, it didn't work because your knee was in the wrong spot. I made that mistake times and I never do anymore because I fucked it up. And so it's great to just hear that, you know, from somebody that's been there. And it's
and the mentor, don't go get a mentor that's a white belt, man.
Right. Well, that's what I was going to say.
You know,
and there's a bunch of them out. There's a bunch of them out there. You go on Clubhouse.
LinkedIn and Clubhouse and Twitter and everywhere else and Instagram and all of it. They are littered with people that I personally, and I sit back, you know, and watch like some people. And some people I personally know, like, dude, I know you. And you're on here saying 6 figures in 7 months. And I'm like, you know, dude, you're showing up to class at jiu-jitsu in a 84 Civic and you're in a, you know, a 1-bedroom apartment and you asked me for gas money last week, bro. Calm down. Just because you got a pretty face and you know how to talk, you know, I mean, you really do. You've got to vet that mentor. The person's got to be a salty dog in business that's done it and has been there
and failed, like openly been like
failed.
I've done it. Someone said to me once, like, what successful CEO do you think hasn't royally fucked up? Like the ones that are good, they've really messed up and they come back. Like that's when you know the comeback fighter. You know?
Yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely. If you haven't completely bombed and been close to bankruptcy or whatever in business, I almost question if you know. Now again, I mean, some people haven't, and they've always had the Midas touch. There are those people, but in the grand scheme of things, if you hadn't, you know, if you didn't have a silver spoon given to you growing up. And all of that, and you really earned your stripes. You've made mistakes, man, and opportunities everywhere. I was running my agency. I had my first son, and we lived in a 2-story house that had a balcony, and the stairs had these rails that were pretty dangerous. And you know, there was just all of these ways like my new toddler could just die, right? So I went to the yellow pages. That's how old I am, right? Went to the yellow pages looking for a childproofing company, and there wasn't any. And so I went to my wife and I said, this is insane. Like we could be making a fortune childproofing homes for bigger, more affluent homes, you know, so kids don't die, right? So I kept my agency. This was a complete side project. And I found handymen that already had businesses, and I just licensed our stuff to them and ran some radio ads. We grew this company significantly, created a franchise, sold 16 franchises nationwide before I sold it. It's still going today. We partnered with Babies R Us and all that. I knew nothing about childproofing. It was an opportunity. I saw it. I said, somebody's got to do it. You know, company still going. That was 17 years ago. Company still going strong. And I knew nothing about the industry. But what I did is I saw an opportunity. It was a need and capitalized on it. And I was too stupid for anybody to tell me I couldn't do it. Right. And I think that's the thing, you know, like if you have an entrepreneurial mind, get with a mentor, always, you know, have that person, but also don't be afraid. Like if there's a need, provide it, give it, you know. I think that's, you know, for the younger folks listening, man, I think that's the number one thing. Just there's so many opportunities out there. You just have to go for it.
There really are. That's amazing. We got just a few minutes left. Tell people where they can get in contact with you and learn more about you.
Yeah, man. So my website's rkcmo.com. You can go there if you want to check it out. And of course on LinkedIn, just Ryan Kovach. I've got a business page on there, but it gets buried. No one listens to it. So everything's on my personal LinkedIn. Just shoot me a request. I'll accept it. And just love to get to know anybody out there. And if I can be of any assistance, dude, hook me up. But Jeremiah, thank you so much, dude. This has been awesome. I love it. I love other fellow jiu-jitsu players. And for any of you out there listening, man, go join a gym, sign up and do some classes. You won't regret it. It's life-changing. It's amazing.
Somebody asked me the other day, like, what are the two things you would suggest for up and coming new business? And like, one was business related, and the other one was like, start jujitsu.
Start jujitsu. It teaches you so many lessons that, like you said, that help you in your business. They really do. It teaches life lessons. So can't recommend it enough. Find an accredited black belt. For the love of God, just like a mentor. Yeah.
Yes.
Make sure you know the lineage and that it's legit, right? But other than that, man, great show and love to be back on someday.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And do you go on Clubhouse occasionally?
So I was a very early on in Clubhouse. My problem with Clubhouse is I want to participate so much that it burns my time. So I'm reconfiguring my strategy with Clubhouse. To get followings, you got to really just be on there a lot.
Yeah.
And I got to do work for my clients. So I'm trying to figure out how to do it, build the audience,
I've been working small rooms. I was asking because I'm going to put one together, mainly through a bunch of people on LinkedIn, just called BJJ and Biz. And we just,
I'd love to. Yeah.
And we could just do this exponentially. I've had so much fun and such good experiences on this more intimate rooms. And now I'm doing like 2 or 3 a week, and it's me. Yeah. We schedule it and we invite people ahead of time, and that's how it's marketing. You just market it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that idea, and that's what I need to do is make it micro and all that, wherever and just not be on it all damn day.
Exactly. I ain't got time for that shit.
I don't got time for that.
Speaking of time, we're out of that too. So we're going to head out. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Ryan. Everybody have a great weekend. Peace out.
Thanks, Jeremiah. I appreciate it.